Hey everyone, it's Justine and I'm back with another video tutorial today. I'm really excited to be working with this brand new release from Ellen Hudson, and I'm going to be using a foiling technique and some toner sheets as well as this rainbow slider die in order to create a really fun, magical, whimsical card. Now this die here comes with 3 pieces and I'm going to show you exactly how to put it together. So the first thing you need to do is just detach the dies. Easy enough. Let's get on to the more complex things. Now, when you start to do your die cutting, it's important to just follow the steps. It is a lot easier than it may look having these 3 dies in front of you. So grab this die with the patterns on it. It's also going to cut out a cloud, and you are going to put that onto the card where you want the slider to appear. So I have it sort of left of my card panel. This is 80-pound Nina Solar White, and I'm going to die cut this using my Gemini Junior die cutting machine, the electronic die cutting machine that just cuts like butter. So I'm just going to insert this into the machine. You can see that I attached it using some purple tape. That way it doesn't have to slip and slide, and it's going to cut out exactly where I want it to. You can set these pieces here off to the side as we're not going to be using them right now. Okay, so now that's been cut out, you can see there's a little tab at the top there and it's cut out a window. Now you're going to take a piece of spare cardstock here, and I'm going to be die cutting that larger piece with the arrow up top. And now comes the part where you do the rainbow. So it's the one with the stripes. I'm going to be die cutting this using toner sheets. Be sure to use the one that is not adhesive backed. I have only adhesive backed and I ran into a couple of issues, but nothing too crazy. So just try and use the toner sheets that don't have adhesive on the back and die cut that stripe. Now, of course, you can just die cut that out of plain white paper, color the rainbow, and be done with, but I like to make things a little bit more exciting with some different techniques, so I wanted to do some foiling. So I'm actually creating 3 of these cards today exactly in the same way. I have some stellar people in my life that I need to thank, so I cut out 3 of these, so don't mind me foiling 3 of these at once. You don't need 3 to make 1 card. You only need 3 to make 3 cards. So I'm just slipping these into a piece of parchment paper. You can use parchment paper from your kitchen. I use the one from ThermoWeb, and I am using some rainbow foils. These are deco foils, and these are one of my favorite things. Make sure that your stripes are facing their correct way. If they're facing sort of that they're going horizontally when the die cut is done, then it's going to look a lot different. So you want the stripes of the rainbow going vertically in the same direction as the foil that you're foiling. So I put this through my Royal Sovereign machine. I like to have this preheated for at least 20 minutes, even though it says it's ready to start foiling after about 5. So it just gives me a better results, and I'm going to run this through my machine twice. So now that I've ran this through my machine, I can open up my parchment paper and see the final results. I actually got a little bit of a crinkle in the foil, unfortunately, on the 3rd one, so I had some pretty significant creases in it. However, one of them turned out just fine, so that's the one I'm going to use in my video. And I always tell people that this is not Hallmark, this is homemade. So if there's scratches or ink fingerprints, it's made with love, and that's what it is. Okay, so I am going to, at this point in time, because I'm using adhesive-backed toner sheets, as I said, don't do that, I'm going to have to actually glue all of these pieces onto a white cardstock die cut that I had created, because when I bend my rainbow slider, because they're adhesive-backed, they're just going to come apart, as you can see. So I've gone ahead and done this. Your die cut should now look quite normal, and now I have the foiled sheet. So what you're going to do is you are going to turn over your foiled sheet or your colored sheet, depending on how you decided to do this. And you are going to put adhesive onto the rectangle tab. So the score line's already done for you when you die cut it. You are going to put it onto the tab that it does not have the little cutout, so the one that's just a plain rectangle. And I'm going to add 2 or 3 layers on here just to be on the safe side, and I am going to place that onto this bookmark looking tab, the one with the arrow. So the arrow is going to go in the very middle of that circular shape, so flush it down to the bottom here and push down on the adhesive, and then your next step is just as simple as that one. You're going to add some glue on top of the tab. So this is going to be the foiled part of it, and again, not on the arrow. You're going to go on that tab of the foils here, and then you can stick that onto your card front. So we have this card front here. Just line up the arrow with that circular tab or that half circle tab, and then you're just going to push down on that area that you had the adhesive. So when you open up your card, or if you were to open up your card, you're going to get a Z pattern or a Z pattern, depending if you're speaking Canadian or British English versus American English, and you should have a Z or a Z here when you fold it out. So that is how you create the rainbow slider. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to add some foam tape here to the back of my card. I don't like saggy cards, so I tend to use quite a bit. And because I'm using 3M foam here, I can actually cut it quite easily with some scissors because that one side of my card is pretty small. So now that that's all finished, I can remove the backing of all the adhesive and stick that onto a card base. Now, if I were to go back and redo this card, I probably would have done my stamping before I had attached the rainbow slider. This just makes it a lot easier in the sense that you're going to get an even impression. When you're stamping on top of foam tape as well as different elements on the card, it gets a little bit more difficult, and I did struggle a little bit to get a clear impression at first. So I've now added this to my card base. It's ready to go and pull, so let's see this baby in action. We have our little pull tab here. Of course, you can stick some twine or some string on it if you'd like, and you can see how the rainbow really just makes a fun little arc when you pull it. Now it's time to embellish. You can see I had all 3 of those cards done there, but I'm only going to focus on the one when I do my stamping and my decorating. As I said, I'm just making 3 of the same. I find when you're making bulk cards, it's just easier to do all the steps at once. So I cut all 3 of the rainbow sliders. I put together all 3 of the rainbow sliders. Then I'm going to embellish them all. It just saves a lot of time. So I'm going to stick some of the clouds here at the bottom. Just make sure not to adhere them to the rainbow foils, of course. You want to adhere them to your card base. And I'm going to be using this Pure Magic sentiment stamp. This is super cute, has so many different sentiments on it, and I just love how they pair up so well with not only the rainbow slider, but also the unicorn stamp that came out this month. So this one here, the unicorns and rainbows, it just works out really perfectly with this stamp set. Regardless of whether you have the rainbow slider die or not, these two pair so well together. So now I'm going to be stamping the unicorn as well as one of the sentiments on here. I really wanted the phantasmagorical one, but I decided it didn't really fit on my card, unfortunately, so I have to use a different one. So I've now kind of built my own custom stamp here, along with images and sentiments that I've custom put together, and I'm going to stamp those using some VersaFine ink. I am going to be using my Misty stamping tool because, as I said, stamping on foam is not the easiest to get a clear impression with. You'll notice when I stamp it the first time here and I lift it up, you might get a little bit scared because I don't have the greatest impression. And that is one of the reasons why I like to show my mistakes on screen as I'm creating, so that you learn from me when you're creating your card and you don't need to get frustrated. So you can just go ahead and continue to stamp on it. It's not a big deal and you'll get that clear impression eventually. But I just switched up the card for time purposes, and you can see again I didn't get the best impression, but I just go down, put a little bit more pressure on there, and then I'm good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this card tutorial. I hope I broke down the rainbow slider die for you in an easy manner that's easy to understand so that you aren't intimidated, and it really is quite simple to put together. You could of course decorate your background in any way you like with distress inks or things like that. You don't have to leave it plain white, and you can do so many things with it. It's just super cute and interactive. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and be sure to check out the new Ellen release up on the website now. If you're interested in watching some more videos, we have some suggestions here, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks, and I'll see you all next month for another video.